Okay, I think I'm live. Hello! Welcome to another stream. No one's here yet. This is why people usually broadcast like a few minutes of a stationary screen that says, hey, we'll be starting shortly. I need to figure out how to create something like that. But that's okay, because this is a little bonus for the people that are right on top of things and click. I want to watch you right the second you connect. So, yeah, this is another fun filled episode of The Computer Bar. And here I am at the bar without a drink. We can't have that. Can't have that. So the question is, what are we going to do for a drink? Well, we'll figure that out in just a moment. But first, I need to bring up on my computer the chat windows just to make sure everything's working right. And also so I can see what all you lovely people out there are writing in the chat room so I can, communicate and have this whole back and forth thing going on here. In case you haven't noticed, I've already been drinking. So, yay. But we got no views yet on Twitch, but we might have sound. Yes, we have sound. Cool. Says it live right here. So we'll go ahead and we will bring up the YouTubes. And just to make sure that that is also looking good. And then we will get started here. Also, I only have half sound. Why do I only have half sound? Huh. Oh. Uh, board. Oh, don't tell me this microphone's giving me trouble now. My mixing board's a little on the older side. Um, this is not my mixing. This is my down. Oh, come on. These microphones have a very annoying design feature. It has this Yeah, it has this feature where they don't work is what it has. See, there's bare wire and there's two leads. And if they touch before they get to the diaphragm, they short out the diaphragm, thus making the microphone do nothing. And I've sent a very polite email to the manufacturer of these microphones pointing out that they fucked up royally and have made a piece of shit that is mostly useless. If it weren't for them being a little more careful with the design, that they don't short themselves out. Um, they sent me a polite reply saying, "Thank you so much. We'll pass that along to someone who cares." Now, I thought I got a little piece of electrical tape wedged in there to prevent the shorting out, but apparently now when I clip this on and I get quiet, it cuts out. But I might have to open that back up and fix that. That's not what you're all tuning in for, because you're all just so tuning into this, aren't you? Yeah, but we will be going live with topic and material shortly here. We're just bringing things up and getting started here. This is the pre-show, but we're at the bar, at the computer bar. I think this is the only bar that's open at this point in time. And looks like YouTube is streaming, Twitch is streaming, chat rooms are up, and maybe viewers will even come in. So let's get ourselves a drink, shall we? So I'm going to go grab myself another beer, is what I'm going to do. There we go. And once again, you're tuned into the Computer Bar here on the Johnny Gators Twitch channel and the Computer Bar YouTube channel. and subscribe to either or both of those if you like this content. I do a lot of different streaming on my Twitch channel. I try to stream on Saturday nights at some point. I also do a show every Monday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a kind of a anything goes talk show that's hosted by me. Brian and Lulu are based out of California. Brian in the San Francisco Bay Area, Lulu a bit north of that. And Venison 88, who's a Jersey guy currently residing in Ohio. And the four of us connect every week through a multi-party chat. And most of us have cameras. 3 out of 4 does equal most of us at this point. And we all kind of, Brian and I kind of geek out a bit and bore Lulu. Sometimes Lulu brings up things that are going on in her life. And we all just have a good old time. That's Monday nights. Saturday night here, sometimes I do this where we come to the bar and we talk computer talk, tech talk, stuff like that. Some Saturday nights, my wife joins me and we do a little thing we call marriage consoling, where we do some old school gaming together with our own commentary that we add. And I got some ideas for future marriage counseling episodes, so we might see that next week, or we might see more. It depends what's on my mind, what's on the schedule. Just keep an eye on this channel, and if you see me live on a Saturday night, pop on in. You never know who you might. A few weeks ago, me and my wife we did some Duke Nukem 3D gaming. We had a fun time with that on an old school Windows 98 machine, and that we hooked up to the big screen 65-inch TV and captured with the cheapo Star Trek device. Worked out all right because they captured VGA. Happened to have a VGA HDMI adapter and a powered splitter, so that all worked out good. But we are here tonight for a follow-up episode about the Compaq Portable project I've been working on. I'm restoring a Compaq Portable computer, and last week I showed it off a little bit because I managed to basically piece together one working machine from two machines that had issues. And I've learned a lot about the Compaq Portable in this process. I know a lot about computers and desktop computers. I've been using computers Compaq Portable was a new thing. It's just that Compaq Portable was a new thing. I was a wee little lad that just knew how to push the arrow buttons and play a little game on it. So working on vintage machines has me a little out of my element. But being that I work day to day with desktop machines, desktop support, I have a firm grasp on enough concepts to kind of get figure out what's the same, what's different, get out over here. What? I need to clear that. Beer of choice tonight. Um, yeah. So what we have here is the Compaq Portable. And you can see it's portable because it has a handle on it. And what I've learned is that, when you get to a machine that's, this came out in 82, so let's say 92, 2002, 2012. I mean, this thing's over 30 years old. We're getting on 40 years on this thing. So it's there's going to be something wrong with one when you find one. And so I found a cheap one out in the wild, and the first deceptive thing about a Compaq Portable that you find in the wild is that there's a very good chance that if you plug it in and you flip the switch, the fan's going to come to life. And you're going to think, well, something's working in it. The fan spun up. So it turns on, and you might see nothing on the screen and nothing might happen. but something turned on. Well, it turns out that the power supply has jumpers from the AC input over to the fan. So the fan is powered purely from the AC cable that's plugging in to this box. So flipping the switch and the fan turning on don't mean jack shit. you know, that's I'd be surprised if the fan didn't turn on one of these. Now that I learned more about these, but another thing I really learned that is very essential to know about working on a Compaq portable is that the power supply will not give you any proper voltage readings when checking it out with a voltmeter unless it's actually powering something. So, what I was doing was, you take a modern power supply out of a tower and you connect it to AC power and you flip it on, and you can check for voltages on the pins. Or you might have to short out pins for it to be in the on position, but you can, if it's turned on, you can check for voltages. This one, I was getting no proper readings. And same for the first one I bought. And so I thought, okay, well, that's why it's not coming up. My power supply ain't providing power. And the power supply is a single circuit board wedged between the side of the case and the built-in CRT monitor on this. So it's not like you can buy, wedge in some kind of a modern power supply component in there. And they do make micro power supply boards that might fit in there and take 12 volt DC power, which if you rig something up to connect the 12 volt DC cable, that would get you by. It wouldn't have the original AC connector anymore at that point, but that would get you by. But the problem with that is at some point, computer power supply is phased out the negative 5 volt rail. And this computer needs that. So I was out of luck there. But at some point in the threads that I was asking for help on the forums, someone mentioned, well, you got to hook up a hard drive to it first and then test if it's providing power. Then you can connect the motherboard. And I'm like, dude, it's not providing power with nothing hooked up to it. I have no power. No one really clearly said it has to have something connected. And that's because a lot of people don't know these details. It's hard to find clearly defined details about stuff that's this old. You'd think this would all be well documented and easy to find. It's not. And so I managed to get this working, but my second parts machine downstairs, I took that power supply that I was sure was dead, and I took one of the spare floppy drives that I had out of that machine, and I connected it, and I plugged it into AC, and I took my voltmeter, and all of a sudden, every pin on the motherboard connector read the right voltage. So that's key. If you're going to test your power supply when working on a Compaq portable, go ahead and take the power supply out if you can get it out, but connect a floppy drive to it and turn it on with the floppy drive connected to pull some power. Now, my floppy drive that was connected, it didn't light up, it didn't spin up or indicate that it was being turned on or used because there was nothing trying to pull data from it, but it was doing something to the power supply because all of a sudden all the Okay. At some point, my mic pack dropped out. These, I really regret this purchase. I'm not sure if a battery's dying on this thing or what. Might be. So I'm gonna swap them because I got another mic pack that hasn't been used as much right next to it. Okay, I think I'm back. All right, so I'm not sure if anyone missed anything, but hey, we got a viewer. Hello. Welcome to the computer bar. Pull up a chair, grab a drink. I'm drinking Yingling tonight, and we got ourselves here the Compaq Portable that now not only does it turn on, but it has internal storage, a whole 10 megabytes. I don't know if that was ever considered a lot, but that was considered an acceptable amount at one time. All right. I just need to throw these dead batteries from my mic pack into my recycle bin. My battery recycle box next to the recycle bin. Right, so we're going to go ahead and turn this on. All right, someone popped in and checked out and closed out. But we're going to plug this in, is what we're going to do. All right, just need to find the connector over here. It takes AC power, is what it takes. And connects to the side of this panel here. And I'm actually, just to start with, I'm going to aim another camera at it. Just so you can see it turn on. But it also outputs the video card. This computer has a separate video card in it to drive the video. There's no onboard video in the days that this was made. It was a card. But the card has a connector built into it that connects directly to this built-in monochrome green monitor. And it will provide monochrome graphics on there as well. So you can do any old school CGA gaming or monochrome gaming on this with green patterns. But as was standard for CGA video cards at the time, it's got a monitor output, 9-pin RGB CGA monitor output, and it's also got a composite video output. So you could hook the video output of this computer to your TV and use it on your TV if you wanted to. And the cool thing about that, which the 8-bit guy has done a great video about this, if you haven't and you're interested in old school computer graphics, I recommend checking out the 8-bit guy's video about CGA graphics better than you remember. And it kind of goes over how with the use of a composite output, you could use color blending to get more colors in your color palette by cheating, basically, on the composite output. Now, that wouldn't work. Growing up, our family computer was a CGA computer with just a computer monitor on it with no composite connection on there. So I never do this. I could never take advantage of this. But now that I watched that video and I see this video card's got this composite output on there, I'm like, holy crap. Some of the games that support that feature, I could, get better graphics than I ever could have on the computer monitor. It's not, the definition is dulled, but you get more color, and it's pros and cons. It don't look great on the DOS prompt, but if you play some Leisure Suit Larry, you're walking around, Lost Wages there, it looks more colorful with the composite mode, and we'll show that off some here tonight. So, I'm just going to go ahead and flip the power switch over here. And it's going to hum on up to life. And last week, when I booted this up, we had to have a floppy boot disk in here And this drive was just connected to power but not connected to anything. But I added the card that drives this hard drive today and managed to figure out how to install DOS 2.12 onto a hard drive in a Compaq portable. And there were a few commands you had to run, a few files you had to copy, and now it will automatically detect that drive. And it's a little slow. There's our beep. Looking for a floppy. No floppy. Looking at the hard drive. And it wants to know the date because it thinks it's January 1st, 1980. We'll just go ahead and say that we stepped in a time warp and click enter. And I also set the auto exec to set our prompt to look like a normal C prompt and show the directory, which I've copied a few things on there. So how about that? A nearly 40-year-old hard drive still spinning up and still working. It makes some interesting noises from time to time, so I don't know for how long it's going to work if I keep powering this up like this, but for now, it's still working, and I'm quite thrilled about that. Now what I can do is I can take the composite output and hook it up to my capture card here and see about using that. So I think I have to do a Alt-Control less than to set the graphics mode in the text mode there to output to that, and then I got to tell my card to work. Huh. It's not liking that. Oh, it went back to HDMI. Why would it do that? There we go. There we go. So now you can actually see what's on the screen instead of seeing a glared screen with some green spots on it. Now the capture, of course, is capturing white text because it's actually outputting white. It's just that the monitor is green screen. But as you can see, we got ourselves a nice C prompt here. So we got ourselves, you know, some computer to do some desktop stuff on. Let's see if anyone's tuning in or chiming in on the chat. No, nothing yet. But if anyone has any questions or comments or anything, please pull up a chair, grab a drink, and let's hang out at the computer bar here. By all means, this is your show, you know. Pull up a stool, participate. Yeah, so I was quite surprised. Now, this was the second machine I bought of this, because the first one just wouldn't boot up, and it may have power supply problems, although drawing power only from a floppy drive, the power supply is providing the right power. I know that now. It may be having motherboard problems. It's definitely having motherboard problems, and it's having display problems with the vertical hold. So I bought this second machine on eBay. Cost a little bit, especially since it had to get shipped. Got a little bit of minor cosmetic damage in the shipping because, of course, it did. And but ultimately, the only problem this computer had was that the floppy drive in it was bad. And it didn't have this hard drive. This machine that I bought off of eBay came with 2 floppy drives in it. The first floppy drive was the only drive it tried to boot to, and it couldn't spin up a disk when it would try to boot. But what I knew from that guy's description was that it turns on, power supply is working, screen shows legible text without any flickering, CRT works, it's looking for a disk, motherboard works. That was 3 very good reasons to pay a little bit more than the average going price for these things on eBay. Because a lot of these are on eBay, and it's like, only the fan spins up. That tells me nothing. Fans powered directly by the AC. All that means is that you got a good AC cable and a good fan. That's the only thing that tells me. Um, so if you see one of these on eBay, if you want to get one of these off of eBay, um, look for one that actually shows something on the screen when it turns on, because that's a very good thing if you've gotten that far. Um, yeah, so what I did was I took a floppy drive out of another one, out of the other one, and connected it here and tested it up, and it booted to that floppy drive, no problem. Made a boot disk. You can get all the Compaq DOS disk images online for free. And if you set up, I recommend setting up an XP machine with a 5.25-inch drive. And there's a program that you can install. You have to install 2 drivers in the device manager for that software to interact properly with the floppy drive. But once you do that, it will image and write images. It'll format and write images in a 360K DOS format, no problem. And several other floppy formats. So that's handy stuff. And that helped me burn original Compaq boot disks to be able to boot this up to Compaq DOS. And so after last week, I put the hard drive in when I was putting everything together, because I decided, well, what do I want for the second drive? Another floppy or a hard drive? Well, if the hard drive should happen to work, I'll take that. So I took a chance and put it in and powered it up, and it made awful noises, which it still does from time to time. Of course, there's a lot of moving parts that probably spent at least 20 years not moving. If I spent 20 years not moving, I'd probably make some strange sounds the first few times I moved around too. I will say that it's been making those sounds less frequently. Unfortunately, it's not like you could open up a hard drive, oil a few points, and have that be all good. I mean, it is what it is, and it's going to work till it stops. But for now, it's working, and I like to use as many original parts or vintage parts as I can, so I'm going to keep using this hard drive until it stops, and then I'll figure out what modern storage solution I could jerry-rig into this to replace that at that point in time. But for now, I'm not looking to do a whole lot with this computer, so 10 meg of storage for a few fun games that work on an 8088 processor, that's fine. That's great. I'm thrilled this works. So this is powered by another card. The computer that had this hard drive in it had 2 cards in it that this computer did not have in it, which brings up the total to 4 cards. Because all Compaq portables would come with a floppy drive controller card to drive your floppy drive, which could handle up to 2 floppy drives, a video card, which drives video out to here, and external, which is being captured by the composite on the capture device. And so the other one had a controller card for a hard drive. I'm not sure if that cable will take 2 hard drives. I think there might be another connector on that. I forget, though. Might be a 1 drive only deal. And I had another card in there that takes a battery that I think will hold a clock setting, but I've not figured out how to make that work. You have to run some type of a command or a driver or set it to do that to basically take the time and date setting and hold it in that card, which then has the battery power, and to pull it back out when booting up. I think, from what I'm reading online, but I've not gotten a good detailed description of that yet. I don't know how that works. I haven't figured that part out yet. So every time it boots up, it's January 1st, 1980, midnight. Happy New Year, Happy New Decade. And yeah, it's a fun little celebration. And there's another, and that card, I think, also adds RAM, because I now have 640K of RAM, which I am just delighted about, because that's more than I had before I added these cards in. So yeah, I got the clock card and the driver card for the hard drive. And I put those cards in, I connected the hard drive, and I didn't think anything was going to happen. because I thought surely I'm going to have to run some kind of configuration program to get it to see these cards and get it to see the hard drive. But I was quite surprised. I booted up to my floppy disk. I typed in C colon, hit enter, and it's all a hard drive. And I had space. And I could save data to it. And I was like, wow. I think that's the only time I had something be that easy that I thought was going to be that not easy. So at that point, I formatted the drive. I did a little bit of research. I found a YouTube video about installing DOS 2.x on a virtual machine. And that process applied to here. You basically have to run a command sys. Well, you format the drive. You boot to a floppy disk. And that floppy disk will have a version of DOS that has a format command. So you can tell it format C colon, which will wipe your drive and put a new format on it, which you probably should do if you got a 20-year-old format and who knows what on there. I looked in there. There was nothing on there except for an installation of DOS, which I believe was Compaq DOS 3.2, which I could reinstall on there easy. So there was no old data that was of interest to pull off of there. So at that point, it's like, all right, let's wipe this thing. Format it. And then you run the command sys, sys space your drive, so sys space C colon, and it basically copies system stuff onto the drive. And you have to, now the video I found online said copy the entire contents of your DOS disks into the root of the C drive. I don't think that was ever standard practice back in the 80s. We had a family computer running DOS 2.11 that booted right up to DOS. It did not have the entire contents of DOS sitting in the root of C. All you really need is the command.com file in the root of C. So I copied that. I also made a directory called DOS and copied the contents of the disk into there just to have it handy because I wanted it there. But once I did that, yeah, as long as you run your sys command and have your command.com file in the root of C, it'll look for a floppy. See there's no floppy. It'll look for the hard drive. It'll boot to the hard drive. So that's been really cool. And so that's been my exciting development on this project today. And if anyone has any comments in the chat room or any questions, if not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this down over here. And I'm going to turn off the camera and just keep it on the capture device. Capture's going to look better anyways. And I'm going to show off a little bit of software that I have on this thing. So I'm going to angle this a little bit my way so I can actually take a look at what we're doing here. So yeah, I've put a few directories on here. I've put LoadRunner on here, which is one of my favorite old school PC games. This is something I played on the Commodore 64 because my next door neighbor had one, and she had LoadRunner on this, and so I quite frequently asked for a computer for birthday gift or Christmas gift, and I think at some point I always ask for, I want LoadRunner on it. I want to play LoadRunner because next door neighbor has a computer with LoadRunner. And I didn't get the same computer as next door because next door had a Commodore 64, which I guess by 1986 was getting to be older, but still common. So we got a Computer Land BC88, which also has an 8088 processor. So same type of processor as this machine's running. And yeah, for Christmas with that computer, my parents did buy a copy of LoadRunner, and I got to be quite good at it. Now, as you can see, the composite output's capturing your standard 4-color CGA graphics palette, so it looks awful by today's standards. The Commodore 64 version actually had red bricks, whereas here we had blue bricks, which was probably the first thing I noticed when I booted it up. Well, it's not the same colors as that, but hey, it was Lode Runner and I could play it. And the big advantage to playing Lode Runner on the PC versus the Commodore 64 is the Commodore 64 had a single button joystick, so you could only dig a hole in the direction you're facing, whereas PC, the standard was two button joystick, so you had a button for each direction. Of course, I've got keyboard shortcuts for each direction. I find it easier to drop down and make them chase me. So, this is a game that is old enough that it relies on your processor being slow enough for it to run at the right speed. There are patch versions of this game out there so that you can play this on a modern computer and have it not be way too fast to actually do anything. But this is the original version right here, and this is a computer that is at the right clock speed to run it as it was meant to be run. So, if anyone has any questions or comments or anything they want to see me try to do on this computer, please type into the chat, pull up a chair and grab a drink. Welcome to the computer bar. And yeah, we're doing some old school PC gaming here with this fixed up working Compaq portable. It's got the handle on it. It's portable. You just grab it and go. No, no one stopping in to type anything in the chat. All right then. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a little break then. I'm gonna go use the restroom, and then we'll come back and we'll do a little more gaming. There we go. There's that switch, and we are back. You're still tuned in to the computer bar. Not that anyone's tuned in, but if you're watching this after the fact, you're still watching the computer bar. And yeah, we're still playing a little bit of old school Lode Runner here. And I'll go ahead and go through another level here and talk more about Lode Runner. It's kind of sad. One of the sad things about this game was we had it on a bootable floppy disk, and we didn't make a backup copy of it. And I'm not sure why we didn't. But I'm not sure if it was a case that we couldn't or just no one thought to do it. Because one day, I think one of my siblings got the great idea that the best way to make sure your floppy diskettes continued working would be to make sure they were squeaky clean. And what better way to make sure your floppy disks are squeaky clean than by spraying them with a little bit of Windex. And our load runner disk stopped booting up at that point. Um, and it was sad because we didn't throw it out. So, every now and then you'd look at the box on the shelf. You open it up and the disc is in there with the label on it. And you remember, oh, I loved playing this game. Maybe it'll boot up this time. And no, it would never boot up. And what do you do when you can't play a beloved game anymore that you still have the box for? You start reading the box because you can't play it. You may as well read the box. Which just goes to show you're really not thinking this through all the way, are you? Because if you read the box and you read about features you didn't know about, you're not going to be able to do anything about that because the disc ain't working. And that's why I found that this game actually has level creators. And I'm like, oh my god, I could have been playing with level creators. Now, at some point I've played with games that have level creators. I'm not good at creating levels. Maybe if I knew about this feature and played around with it back when I knew about it, maybe I would have developed that skill. I don't know. But this game comes with the ability to design your own levels. And that's pretty cool. And I guess I could do that. I've still never played with that feature. Even though I was so bummed when I read about it that I couldn't do that. I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome. I could have been making all these awesome Load Runner levels all these years and I had no idea. And now I can't. So we're just going to beat this level here. I'm getting cornered, so we're just going to run around because I want to get up there, but I can't walk over 3 of them. There we go. Now we just need to get to that ladder over there. And it's just that simple. So I don't know if anyone has joined us here at the computer bar. Let me check the chat room here. No one typing in the chat room, but welcome to the computer bar if you are out there watching. And this computer does a lot more than play Load Runner. Any questions about the Compaq Portable or anything you want to see me do on this, be sure to type in the chat room. Or hey, just say hey. Pull up a bar stool, have a drink. And like I was saying, this game has a feature for building your own levels that I never played around with. And I'm going to quit this game, which will bring me back to the main menu. And I believe it's... Oh, it wants me to type in my name for the score. Because this installation has been used so few times that just about anything gets you on the top scores there. So I think if I hit escape... Oh, there we go. Edit boards. E. All right, we hit E. And the level editor starts by editing an existing level, I guess. You may get boards from any player disk. Oh, okay. I guess that means basically 1 through 1. Because Load Runner has 150 different unique levels. After you beat level 150, it basically starts over at level 1. And each time you go through the levels, it moves faster. So you could skip to like level 500, which would be one of these levels, and everything's moving noticeably faster. I'm going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and edit for the one we were just playing. You are not allowed to read or modify the master file. Any key to continue. Oh. I guess you have to enter in a unique number. But it says edit level 1 to 150. Max level is 150. Huh. I'm not sure how this is supposed to work. I've never done this. It's weird. Well, I've learned something. I need to do some research to figure out how to edit levels in Load Runner. Ain't that a bummer? Is there a way to create level? No. Initialize this. That's gonna. I don't know what that's gonna do. Um. Hmm. Huh? How do we do this without modifying the master file? I almost feel like I'm working in Windows 10 with that whole, with something popping up saying you are required to have admin rights to do this. But we're not going to tell you to enter in a username and password because we don't have that sophisticated technology yet. All right, we'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to quit to DOS. And, yeah. So that's Load Runner on an old school Compaq portable running on an 8088 processor. And it's hoping, late night on the Saturday we get some people to stop in. But hello, this is the Computer Bar. And, we got some other old school PC games on here that we can explore. Or if you have any questions or requests to see something on here, or if you want me to talk anything computers, just write in. Tell me what you want the topic to be. But right now, what I've got up on the bar is this Compaq portable that actually has a whole 10 megabytes of internal storage that I've started putting a few games on. And I've got a soft spot for the PC version of Donkey Kong. It's so bad, it's good. I don't know. Does that work? Maybe it's just bad. But I have fond memories of playing it because I loved Donkey Kong as a kid. My introduction to Donkey Kong was on the Commodore 64 at my grandparents' house. And that was, like the first thing I wanted to do, get in the door. Hi, nice to see you. Is the computer upstairs? Just what your grandparents want to hear, from the grandkids is like, yeah, I want to go play Donkey Kong. It's like, yeah, it's nice to see you, but I really came here for Donkey Kong upstairs in the computer room. So when we got a PC, of course I was like, I want Donkey Kong. My dad brought home some copy discs from someone. One of them was Donkey Kong. It was a booter. What I found online that I could download was an executable that runs the PC version. I'm not sure how to turn that into a booter disk, but anyways, it works. And it works on vintage computers as well. And it's going to ask us 2 questions. Do you have a joystick? Well, no, I don't. And I can tell you from experience, if you have a joystick, you're going to want to tell it, no, you don't. Because this version of Donkey Kong works awful with the joystick. Go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, but can never get him to go up the ladder unless you just so. The keyboard, it makes it easier to be precise that way. Now, if I say no to full color, it's going to show you this in like white. It's not going to show any color. But back when we would use this on a computer with a color monitor, on the 9-pin RGB CGA output, you basically had a choice of 2 different color palettes on this question. If I said yes, I would get the green red palette. If I said no, I get the cyan magenta palette. So I always saw that there's 2 color options playing this game, but I found in this computer with the composite output, answering yes is the only option for the color to show up on the composite out. Now I don't have a 9-pin monitor that works properly to see if I could get that different palette to show up. But this is what full color looks like. And we're going to go ahead and play a few rounds of this. Oh, Oh, we're getting some meows. We're getting some meows from the kitty over here. Shantico wants some attention. Oh, you're gonna act like you don't. I'm sorry. The reason I walked away from the bar is I've noticed that the stereo is still on, and it's still on because Zone 3. No, not Zone 3. I had a few zones still on my stereo. I wanted to get that off because I'll forget about that later when I go to bed. Yeah, so we're going to play some old school PC Donkey Kong. Now, it's only recently that listening to the PC beep sounds that come out the PC speaker to this version of Donkey Kong that I realized, oh my god, those are horrible attempts at emulating the soundtrack of the arcade version. I never put it together. It was so far off. I mean, because, when you start Donkey Kong, it goes bum, 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 boom. And when this starts, it's going to make this sound. Boom, 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 boom. Ba-da-da-bum. Which does not sound the same as dun 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 dun. Boom. Anyways, arrow keys move him, obviously. Spacebar jumps. And in that some quality PC graphics there. So, there's our first board. So, Chung's Neck writes in, if you don't blink for 2 minutes, I'll give you $100. No, you won't. And you're doing a YouTube video. Oh, that's cool. What are you doing a YouTube video about? I'm doing a YouTube video too right now about the Compaq Portable and the 10 megabytes of storage that I have on it that's actually still working. Oh, there we go. We're just gonna, play a little quick Donkey Kong here because it's one of the games I put on the hard drive here. But, oh, this is the computer bar, so pull up a stool, grab a drink. And we'll talk about any topic you want to talk about. Hopefully computer related or bar related. That works. So yeah, tell me more about your YouTube video. Is it about not blinking? I'm thinking not blinking for 2 minutes is one of those like impossible feats, which is why you're so quick to offer $100 for it. Like, it's a reflex reaction. You just have to do it, I think. Gotta get over there. Oh, we'll use a hammer. Whew, that was lucky. I've had that happen sometimes where even though you're holding the hammer, you still hit the hitbox. And, yeah, oh, that graphic glitch is quite common on this version of Donkey Kong, that sometimes you can hit something with the hammer and it, yeah, like that there, it glitches out and stays like that. But I think, oh, there we go. We can beat the level now. Yay. Oh, Chung's Neck left. I blinked too much for him. Oh, well. We still got beer in the mug. Well. It was, when I was younger playing this game, it was an accomplishment to get to this point. It was hard to beat the second board in level 1. And then there's so many barrels in this level, I rarely cleared this level. And it's the board after this board that was like my favorite board of the game. The board with the bouncy things. Ooh, that was lucky. I jumped way early there. And I can. I very rarely saw that board in the PC version. I sometimes saw it on the Commodore 64 version. And it was one of those things that I just didn't get to that often. That made it fascinating because I just wasn't good enough to clear a board and get to that board. But here we are, level 2. We actually get to that screen. And I'm still not very good at it on this version. But I found that if you kind of just start and go right away, it just times out good on that elevator. And usually I can get that fireball to start going down right away, and I could do that. And I can... Oh, I'm a little delayed. Yeah, that was too far down. It's not very forgiving. But yeah, if you just go right away, you can catch that platform as it appears. And now it's a question of, will the fireball go right down? Oh, good. And I can catch that, and I can keep going, and I can get right across there. And now it's all about timing this. Oh, some of them you can get, some of them you can't, because they actually vary a little bit. So that's the PC version of Donkey Kong. This doesn't have an exit out to DOS version. It was originally a booter disk. So we're just going to do a Control-Alt-Delete. And apparently, it don't do Control-Alt-Delete. Oh, that's great. Oh, we're going to turn it off. This computer doesn't like being turned on too soon after being turned off. Sometimes if you try to turn it on too soon after being turned off, it won't turn on. And it's hard to tell if it's not turning on right away because the fan always comes up because that gets AC power. Okay, that sounds like it's all spinning up. And we got a cursor. Good. We're looking good. Yeah, this is of the era of when you're done, you just flip the switch and turn it right off. Which is not all that accurate, because generally in the DOS era, there was the park command to park the heads of the hard disk. I'm not sure if this model predates that. This is certainly a good model to do that on, because parking the heads in a hard drive is more important if you're going to be moving that hard drive, whereas if it's going to be stationary, not as big of a deal. Being that this thing has a handle and you move it around when you're done with it, you're probably going to be moving that hard disk. All right, let's see if our capture came back up. Yep, it did. So, yeah. Of course, the cool thing that this has on it, and what's really cool, is since we're capturing with composite, we can pull up some old school Leisure Suit Larry. And if you've played this game on a modern computer, you've probably played it in a version that's being emulated in DOSBox, and it's emulating the EGA graphics. Well, this right here that you're looking at right now is the composite version of the CGA graphics. Of course, this game had a 5-question quiz that it made you take, and you can hit Alt-X and then hit enter, and that bypasses the 5-question quiz if you're just not up on your adult intelligence of the mid 80s. So there we go. It's just going to load up our screen here, and we can turn the sound off or back on. F10 cycles through the different speeds. On a 8088, you're probably going to want to go with the fast speed there. And so yeah, this is what this looks like on a composite. Now we didn't have a composite connection on our monitor. Um, oh, my channel is going left. I've gone all left. There it goes. No, don't pee on me. But if you didn't have a composite monitor and you had a CGA monitor hooked up with a 9-pin RGB CGA connection, what would load up would be grayscale. And I remember this drove my dad nuts when he first booted this game up on our computer. It's like, this should be in color. Where's the color? It's in black and white. Why is this game in black and white? And it's only recently that I became aware of the composite version of CGA graphics. And that's when it hit me. Oh, it booted up into composite mode, which will display in grayscale on an RGB monitor. So if we avoid the dog, if we hit the escape key, we get our menu here. And over here under special is a graphics mode. And this is what we had to do every time we started the game. We had to select graphics mode because the graphics mode will turn it from composite. When you're on a CGA computer, it'll switch it from composite mode to your CGA 9-pin connection mode, which is 4-color mode. And as you're going to see here, this is going to look a whole lot less appealing from what we were just seeing. That looks quite ugly. And what I'm sad I can't emulate here right now is that our monitor had green and amber modes on it that would basically overlay a green tint or an amber tint on your graphics. The idea being that if you were, doing a text-based program that had white text, in green mode it would look like green text, and in amber mode it would look like amber text. So it was like emulating a green monitor or an amber monitor. But putting it in amber mode would cancel out the blue background on this and make it a black background, and would make this palette a little more stomachable. And that's how we typically played this on our 4-color CGA monitor on our family computer growing up, was in this mode, set with the amber mode on our RGB monitor to make the blue look black. And anyways, still nothing in the chat room, but I am checking the chat in case anyone wants to pop in and say howdy or come on up to the bar and have a drink. So yeah, but we don't have to play like this. We can stick with the composite mode. And this is something that I noticed, that playing in this mode on an RGB monitor, I realized it wasn't as simple as you got to switch to color if you want it to look better. Because I noticed that a lot of the screens in this mode, even in grayscale, were more detailed than when you set it to color mode. And that's when I realized, oh, it's a trade-off. You can play it in grayscale with more detail, or in color with less detail. And it wasn't until years later that when I was replaying in a modern computer is that I saw, oh, wow, doesn't this look a lot better than I remember, because I could play it in its EGA graphics. Because I bought one of the CD-ROM collections of the first 6, well, the first 5 really, because there was no Leisure Suit Larry 4. The collection of 1, 2, no, there was no Leisure Suit Larry. Yeah, there was no Leisure Suit Larry 4. That's right. So it was a collection with 1, 2, 3, 5, and a version of 6 that didn't have the voiceover dubs. It was on one CD-ROM, and I played that on my Windows 95 machine. Although that CD-ROM came out in the Windows 3 era. Yeah. So this game, this computer is perfectly good for playing some Leisure Suit Larry, and I have to say, these CGA composite graphics are pretty comparable to the EGA graphics. This is a very enjoyable experience to play Leisure Suit Larry on this, hooked up to a TV through the composite output. So yeah, I've been having fun with that. We can go ahead and open the door. And what happens when we open up the door? Well, hey, we're at the bar. Isn't this fitting? We're at the computer bar on a computer at a virtual bar. I didn't even think about this ahead of time that this was going to happen. So we can go ahead and we can sit at the bar. Of course, when you play this game a bunch of times, you know that the only thing you need to do at the bar is order a glass of whiskey, and then you carry the shot glass with you in your inventory because you're balancing it carefully. Oh, this drunk next to us is... nobody can eat that much ice cream. I'm not sure. You know what? One of these days, we need to go through and write jokes to all these punchlines that this guy at the bar has. Because I don't know what the heck the joke is about eating ice cream. But if anyone wants to help me write jokes, let's see. This guy's going to tell us another joke. Blah, 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 blah. Just think of the money he saved. Well, there's a lot of jokes that could end like that. Possibilities are endless there. Speaking of which, I'm out of beer. Maybe we should order a beer. Here we go. Well, you just type in beer. Give me a mug of beer, you order, Lefty. See, just like going to the bar. Isn't this great? Because you can't go to the bar because we're all like stuck at home. So we have this great simulation of the bar. That'll be $3, please. You flip $3 onto the counter. You down the beer in your pseudo-macho style and slam the mug back on the bar. You feel a little woozy. That's a bit quick to drink a beer at the bar. I mean, you know, beer is far more expensive at the bar than it is at home. You want to take your time at the bar a little more. But we got this comedian sitting next to us telling another joke, blah, 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 blah. And there stood the pig and the cow. Pig and the cow. I'm still not sure what's up with that joke. All right, still no chat in the chat room. But if anyone wants to chime in, maybe you could tell a better joke than this guy sitting next to us in the virtual bar. You know what? I think we'll order another beer. So, you know what? I'm going to go deal with recycling the beer. And then if anyone's joining us in the room, I'll hang out for another beer. But we're not getting any bites here tonight, so I might just call it a night. And we're back. Hello, we got a viewer. So, yeah, just showing off my Compaq Portable at the computer bar here. So, pull up a stool and grab a drink. And we're sitting at the bar playing a game that has us sitting at a bar. So, we've just ordered another beer. Which, of course, ordering beers at the bar in Leisure Suit Larry is just throwing money away that you're going to have to re-earn later playing blackjack at the blackjack table. But anyways, we got this comedian sitting next to us with another joke. Blah, 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 blah. Damn it, Liza. Don't you know your own reflection? Well, I suppose there's a joke in there somewhere. All right, $3. $3 for a beer at the bar. And we down the beer again in our pseudo macho style and slam the mug back on the bar. That one tastes even better than the last. One more sounds like a good idea. Now, of course, one of the fun things to do in Leisure Suit Larry, if you don't care about winning the game, is just keep drinking and get drunk and watch Larry haphazardly stumble around the bar when he stands up. Because who hasn't done that at least once? Anyways, though, no one is stopping in to hang out with us. So, not much reason to keep streaming if no one's going to hang out. I've been, sitting here rambling on about this machine for about an hour, but, just not getting any traffic tonight. So, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to call it a night, and maybe I'll see if there's someone else streaming that's worth watching. So, yeah. Thank you for joining in. Maybe you'll catch this video later. But this has been another update on the Compaq Portable project, in case anyone out there has been keeping track. And yes, it now has storage. 10 whole megabytes of storage. Which is fucking amazing that 10 whole megabytes of storage still works when it's nearly 40 years old. So, there you go. We're going to go ahead and shut this off for the night. And keyboard pops right back on there. And we'll go ahead and take that off the capture. And we'll go ahead and take the AC power cord and unplug it from the power strip. And that just wraps right up. Goes right here in this little cubby right here for easy storage. And you just take it by the handle and you go on your way. Yeah. Portable. Got a handle. All right. Well, thank you to anyone who watches this video. Thank you to the people that stopped by for a bit. And thank you to Chung's Neck for telling me about his not blinking YouTube video. No link. So, I don't know. But be sure to stay tuned to this channel if you like some vintage computer stuff, or you like some vintage gaming stuff, or you like some just hanging out and chatting on a Monday evening stuff. And good night, everyone.